What comes to our mind when we think about the word CFO? Spreadsheet, budgets, controls. But today's guest is flipping this idea around. Recently you won the award of one of the most 25 transformative CFOs in the country. What are two or three skills which has contributed in your success?
Firstly, that of being a participative leader. Second, never say die. And no matter what the challenge, once you decide this has to work in a different way, there are ways to make it happen. And third, be a constant listener.
About alcohol beverages industries, and if you see future ahead, what are the key market trends which is shaping your strategy?
I can share a few. One, the Gen Z that's coming up, they're drinking differently. They are more about experience. They're not just about a particular brand, but having the whole experience, usually on trade, mixing versus having it neat. They're also a generation of moderation, which is very nice.
Tell me something interesting part of being in this industry.
Okay, so I can share a few secrets.
What really inspired you to write not even one but two very powerful books?
Okay, the one on Beyond Numbers I wanted to write from my experience. What really kept coming back to my mind was the number of people who had actually impacted or shaped my career. And that's where I wrote about powering success. If you've been told you need a mentor, it's because somebody believes in your potential. So mentor is a good word. Find a mentor who can be unbiased and objective for you.
Spreadsheet, budgets, controls. That's what comes to our mind when we think about the word CFO. But today's guest is flipping this idea around. She's not just only crunching the numbers, but she is redefining what does finance leadership means for a company that has more than 26,000 crore revenue. Today, I'm joined by Richa Singh. She is the CFO at Pernod Ricard India. And here's the twist. She's not only the CFO, but she's a lawyer, a certified independent director, and author of two powerful books, Beyond the Numbers and Mentoring Success, which is challenging the finance leaders from boardroom to bookshelves, from strategic pivots to mentoring the future generations. Her story is sharp, grounded, and deeply human. As the first female CFO in a male dominated industry, Richa has shown us how to lead with head and heart. She is not only breaking the glass ceiling, but she is showing us how to build trust and inspire the future generation. So let's dive in. Yes, Richa. So, first of all, thank you so much for coming to our show. And my first question to you, I'm very curious to know about your journey from IIM Bangalore to law to spending so much time in diverse industries like Coca Cola, P&G, and now at Pernod Ricard. So, what sparks this path for you?
Okay, so back in my days, it was not so complicated. There weren't too many choices. I was definitely very interested in pursuing something in business, in commerce. And that's how I decided, okay, to try my luck at MBA. I would say I was lucky enough to get through CAT and reach IIM Bangalore. And over there, I would just say that there was just one spirit in me that I need to do something meaningful. I do need to make sure I am earning a decent living. And everything revolved around that, which industry to join, what to do. And definitely, yes, I had a knack for numbers. So once I was at IIM, it was pretty clear that, okay, I will take up finance. I like challenges. Finance seemed challenging to most of the people around me. So I said, why not?
That is interesting. And if you have to sum up your entire professional experience into one philosophy, how would you define that?
Just make it happen. Just do it.
Just do it.
That is the motto I live by even today. And even back then, no matter what the challenge, I do believe there's always a solution out there. And, no matter what the job, there's always a way to make it beautiful, make it really well, and make it a success. So that's what I follow.
Even Richa, even I also believe in that nothing is impossible. That's what my father taught me. And just hearing back from you is like, just do it and get into any challenge. I really like it. But if you go back and rewind your last 20 years, right? Uh, Tell me one pivotal moment, something which really changed the way in which you think or you take your decisions or you manage or lead your teams.
This happened pretty early on in my career, something that I learned from my manager. Of course, when you start your career, you come across very different management styles, different kind of managers. So some managers were very directive, who'll be very centered on the task to be done, on the goal to be achieved, and everything else becomes secondary. And then I came across a manager. Of course, he was result oriented and he was driven, but along with that, he also really cherished, and I would say that's something he prioritized, of empowering people below him, of making sure that they are successful, of recognizing them. And at least to me, that really unleashed a lot of energy in me, a lot of positivity in me. And that's the time I felt I was beginning to be more successful. So that's the mantra I've incorporated since then, that success comes when you create an infectious energy around you and you enroll other people through that by making a win their win. And your win follows.
It's like a positive impact, right? Like a spiral impact. So that
Mhm.
is also very interesting. And what is like one of the thing which I have heard from many leaders about the flywheel impact. Like if you are energizing other people and that's followed. And I think when I'm following your journey, you have created such a great flywheel of impact across the industries.
Thank you so much, Nelly. Thanks.
And also, Richa, congratulations! Recently you have won the award of one of the most 25 transformative CFOs in the country. It's such a big thing, and we are super proud of you. And I want to then ask your secret, right? What are two or three skills which has contributed for in your success throughout the years?
Okay, two, three skills or traits or things that I carry with me. Firstly, like I said, that of being a participative leader. Of course, I set the vision, but right, I also listen to my teams. I understand what the challenges are, and I make sure we all win together.
Hmm.
Second, like I already said, never say die. No matter what the challenge, once you decide this has to work in a different way, there are ways to make it happen. And third, be a constant listener. And I feel any leader can't be a complete leader unless he or she embraces on that path of learning each day. Today, at my level, I cannot be an expert on everything. I still have to make sure I navigate the company. I help my teams make the right choices. And often to do that, I have to take inputs and listen to my teams. At times functional, it could be my tax head, it could be my treasury head, at times it could be the marketing head.
So every time you're learning, huh? Every day, every week, learning new things. And especially there's so much to learn, right? I am also like, it's so much out there to learn. How do you even balance that with everything which you have? Like you have kids, right? You have two, which you were telling me.
I have twin
Managing
boys.
two kids, learning, and such a tough job. So how do you do it all?
So, Nidhi, there are choices to be made and there are phases. Okay.
Hmm.
Today, for most women, marriage and children is a choice and career. So, one, make that choice very carefully. Choose your life partner carefully. Decide whether you want to have kids or not. And be ready that when you have kids, your equations will have to be reset, right? You will have to figure out how to manage your kids and your career. If I talk about myself, I was very lucky. I have my parents who live with me, who did help me a lot in raising my kids. However, around the time when my kids were two, 2.5, there were some setbacks. Both my parents were unwell. My mom was immobile for a short while. There were other challenges at home, which really took a beating on me and the amount of quality time or any time I was getting with my kids. That's the time when I really decided to take a break.
Is
A
it?
three
You've
month
taken like
sabbatical.
proper break. Hmm.
I took a proper break. I was at Coca Cola. My boss first offered me a 3 month sabbatical. I did tell him I'm not sure if I'll come back, but he said first take the sabbatical. So I took the sabbatical, but towards the end of 3 months, I told him I can't come back. And really, I was not ready to come back. Were not sorted at home. My kids were still, at a place where they needed a lot of support. Even though my mom was completely hands-on, frequent running to the clinics or to the nursery or taking my kids out was not possible. I just had to be there. So I took a 1.5 year break. I wasn't sure if I'll be able to come back. Look, I'm talking about 12, 13 years ago. Things have changed since then for women. Quite a lot of changes. People are very open. Industries are very, very open in welcoming women back after a break. At that point of time, I didn't have the support system or network or any mentor who would say, Richa, you'll come back. It's easy to come back. I was lucky, is what I feel. I got a call from a search firm, and I got a job as a CFO of consumer goods with Philips. And it was a good comeback role for me. I really enjoyed. I gave my 100%, and then the rest followed. But yes, I did take a break, and I think it was needed. Once back into the so after that 1.5 year break, once I was back at work, my mom did single-handedly manage the kids. Of course, I've had domestic support. When I returned, my kids were nearly 5 year old, so they were into a full school, a full-time school. Um, yes, so that's how I've managed. And my mother, my dad, and a whole lot of domestic support.
Biggest learning out there is that there could be support system which we can take, but yes, if we want to continue work, or as a woman you want to continue work, just like first is make your plans and continue. I think that's what my learning, and thank you so much, Risha, for bringing this perspective. And that's actually a very nice way for you to share, like, everything we can't do it alone, it's with the team or our family. So now, Richa, we'll shift a gears bit, and we want to know about your company, your industry. Tell us more about, first of all, what excited you to join Pernod Ricard, and tell me about the industry and how different it is from the others which you have worked previously.
So, opting for Pernod Ricard and they choosing me, I would say, was like a perfect marriage. One, it had a lot of challenges. It really had a lot of challenges because of alcohol, because of the country it operates in India, India
Mm,
being its second largest market. So there's so much to do, and I love to take on challenges, not a dull day. And secondly, it stands for really, really, very beautiful brands. And
mm.
somehow, for the last several decades, I've been a big fan of some of his brands. I didn't even know one of them belonged to Pernod Ricard Glenlivet until the offer came. So that's how I joined it, and yes, it's very different. It's been a steep learning curve for me. Something that not many of us will appreciate, but pretty much running India is like running a region where I'm running 26 different countries, each country of a good size, each
Yeah.
country with different preferences of brands, different prices, different tax structures. Each country comes up with a new policy every year. And when that policy comes, it's time to rewire our ERPs, rewire how we supply, rewire which customers we work with. It's very, very dynamic. It's a real fun place if you're a person who likes change, who's able to change quickly, and is happy to navigate in chaos. So you see, it was really a perfect match.
And which is your favorite brand?
Glenlivet. So I have quite a few now. I have Glenlivet. I have Lille. Lille is a spritzer. It's a sweet wine, and sweet wine with some fruity juices, and of course Royal Salute. I have a long list.
Yeah, so when I don't personally drink, but when I do and gifts to my friends and all, and then I was doing a research about your company, I said, oh wow, so many great brands are from Pernod Ricard. So that is really fantastic. Tell me something interesting part of being in this industry. So you in office, do you guys drink regularly? You guys need to have fun. So how is it? Tell me something which is not so public about the company, but something which is very nice and you like the vibes.
Okay, so I can share a few secrets. Okay, the first one, of course, yes, we all enjoy our drink. We enjoy it responsibly. And for us, whenever there's a new product, if you are in Unilever, you'll be testing out a cream or a Fair and Lovely, rubbing it on your hand, and no. But for us,
Yeah.
testing means tasting. Of course, we do procure a day's license whenever we have to do that tasting because in India, you can't keep any liquor in commercial premises. So there is a day license that is to be procured, and we do it a few times in the year, either to taste the products or to have some moments of conviviality where we want to just sit down and have a drink with the colleagues. That happens a few times in the year.
That would be fun. And even meeting out a lot of people, right? The kind of parties I'm looking forward, that I'm imagining that you would have a lot of parties happening around in the evenings, or for just taking the team out.
Yes, we do. We do go out and we do enjoy a few drinks. For us, when we do our trade visit is to all the nice and happening places, both on trade and off trade. So that's the difference. But there's one tough part also. When you go to a Cadbury's factory, Or when you go to a Nestle factory, you'll end up having so many nice foods. I mean, I was with Coke, and whenever we went to the Coca-Cola factory, we could have a nice fresh maza, right?
Yeah.
Those used to, those are the things one would look forward to. But when you go to a alcohol factory in India, you cannot touch the product.
Ah, but why so?
Yes, because those in the factory, they are not excise paid, and you cannot really tamper or open a case. So there's strict regulations and absolutely no alcohol consumption in the factory premises.
Okay, that is something actually most of the people will not be aware. They would be thinking as
No,
the
we can never do any tasting in the factory.
okay, nice. So I think it's great to go to happening places. Now coming on to a little bit more, or you can say not so fun part, but managing, as you shared, Richa, right? Kitni sari regulations. Every state has different regulations, and you as a finance leader and your teams has to manage a lot in terms of driving first, making your company agile, profitable, at the same time ensuring that regulations are met. How do you do that?
All I have to do is once in a while remind them or ask them what's going on, and they'll tell me, jokes aside. So, yes, finance does take the role of a business partner and a steward. And sometimes a stewardship takes precedence over business partnership to make sure we don't do anything that can potentially erode any value or lead to any unpleasant, penalties or fines or any wrong way of working. There are regular trainings for our employees. They are co-led by legal team and finance teams. Sometimes HR also joins in. There is a very robust tracking of all the compliances our factories, our distributors, our promoters have to comply to. So yes, legal and finance together do a lot of that work from a tax point of view also. So my commercial finance team partners very closely with my tax team to make sure all the compliances are met. It is there is a lot of glamorous work, or the fun work that finance likes to do of analysis in business partnering. But yes, most of my team members wear a very very strong steward cap to make sure the tax filings, tax returns, Form Cs, which are needed from our customers, all of that fall into place to make sure I don't lose any value on the table. Because, I would like to highlight that if you're in finance, finance and corporate finance is a blended role of business partnering, strategy, and stewardship. It's not just about making pitches and analyzing and moving on. You are a person who's involved in the execution and running of the company, which requires a lot of very basic, stable work to be done every day.
Yeah, and actually, Richa, thank you for sharing this because sometimes the role which finance will say is either to approve, reject, and be a blocker, right? We have all seen those days and those kind of people. But then, how do you go one step ahead, which is what you are sharing, that your teams are actually going ahead to solve also how do we really drive controls, but at the same time having processes which supports that and taking a mile ahead. And that's what I can say is about it's a mix, it's a perfect combination which you are creating. A business partner, but with a controls head.
All my team members operate with a clear mindset that they have to provide a solution. Of course, there would be some cases where the answer is an absolute no, you cannot be doing this. But if there's a proposal from business and the way it's being proposed doesn't make sense, then finance works with the key stakeholders to make sure, okay, what's an alternate way of doing it? For example, if it's about, not having the budget for something, for example, capital, can we take a lease? Are we going to be still accretive? That's one. Or we need to run a certain kind of promotion. Now, that promotion cannot be run given the excise requirements in that state. What are the alternate promotions that can be run to still have a competitive edge, which are also compliant to law in that land? So
Hmm.
that's the kind of discussion we try to bring on the table, discuss, agree, disagree, and then get leadership intervention if needed to reach a consensus.
Yeah, that actually works. But if you think about it from a last couple of years, any specific example of a challenge which you want to share on normally typical agar finance approach hota, how someone would have done that, but how you navigate it by applying these principles which you stand by, becoming a strategic CFO principles. Any example?
See, there are quite a few, and I'll just take a very recent example. Uh, we do want to improve our cash generation for the company. Right?
Yes.
Um, a very typical approach is that, okay, I'm going to cut my credit in the market and I will not extend credit. My accounts payable, we'll try and push them forward. We'll not settle on time, so on and so forth, right?
Yeah,
Or we
that's
can
a
run.
typical way. That's
Those
a
are the,
typical
or
approach.
capital budget or capital card, though, CFO might say, "Ki, "Bhai, let's not invest this year, we'll do next year."
Mm. Mm.
So last year was a very nice year where the business grew, and when the business grows, you do need to pump in more money in trade. You do buy more, so your accounts payables are also required, and you also need capital. We also bought land last year, so a way was to, okay, fine, work collaboratively with all our teams, that's commercial and operations, to see how can we generate more money, how can we do more with less. So we ran an initiative in a very fun way, in a very marketing-like way. We called it Cash Chase. We
Cash
created
flow.
assets. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we created beautiful assets, and this was all done by my team and very
Mm.
young team members. The young generation that's coming in, that's very, very creative. They'll come up with beautiful posters. They did all of that. They ran a campaign in the company. They led a lot of trainings on why cash is important, the whole concept of shareholder value, ROI. So they
Mm.
gamified the whole approach, and the results were outstanding. So we did not cut out our credit in the market, but people found ways. Okay, they found what levers the commercial team they could pull to still meet the targets. Same thing on
Yeah.
accounts payables. We were able to stretch our payments and
Mm.
also get into ongoing improvements. The results were amazing. Also come up with innovative banking products. But instead of feeling the pinch, okay, the organization felt energized. They made it a celebratory process. So that's what a new CFO would do versus, okay, guys, we don't have money, let's just slash everything.
Yes. Gamification always excites, right? मतलब the commercial team itself will be interested to meet your goals. Yeah, yeah, please continue. I also got excited about the cash days.
Similarly, like we had when we did the whole transformation at Pernod Ricard, setting up the shared service center, there was a lot of noise within the organization, especially within finance, that, okay, our jobs are going to go away, people will have to move to Gurgaon or leave the company. None of that happened. So instead of mandating things, we again made it very, very participative. Uh, I mean, the new CFO, I would say, is the process and the approach that the person adopts, along with saying, okay, let's listen to what the issues are and what are the options to each of those issues, versus coming in a very, very old world way, very stiff, and saying, no, this is all that's needed. So, one is that big approach. Secondly, or I mean, alternatively, I'll also say, um, earlier when you were looking at FP&A, an FP&A team would simply churn out reports, would only do forecast, right? And the job would end there. And then the FP&A team would report variances.
That's
This
correct.
is
That's
not
a normal thing.
this is not what my FP&A team does. Okay. Uh, if I put it very, very I would say, in a very curt manner, I can say I've told my team I don't want variances. But that's not the reality. Yes, I mean, they're not trying to manage the variances. They are what they're trying to do is navigate the company towards what the company thought it could achieve. So they play the role of the stewards. Whenever a goal is set, whenever a forecast is done, then they work with everyone in the organization, be it commercial, be it ops, be it supply chain, to make sure the communication and mitigation keeps on happening within the month, so that the targets we set in the SNOP or in a rolling forecast are met. So again, over here, they're engaging, they're influencing, they're finding solutions. If one state is tanking, they are the ones who will go and then negotiate, come up with another scheme, A&D proposal, A&D's allowances and discount, or any other investment proposal quickly, to make sure we can invest somewhere else to mitigate that risk. That's the role finance is playing now.
Yeah, thank you so much, Richa, for sharing these couple of examples that actually put things in our perspective, right? And now, if I ask about Elco beverages industries, and if you see future ahead, what are the key market trends, like couple of those market trends, consumer trends, which are keeping you excited or which is shaping your strategy?
I can share a few. One, The Gen Z that's coming up, they're drinking differently.
Hmm.
They are more about experience. They're not just about a particular brand, but having the whole experience, usually on trade, mixing versus having it neat. They're
Hmm.
also a generation of moderation, which is very nice. And there are new kinds of liquors. You've got gin, tequila, the white spirits versus the whiskey, which are shaping up. The whole thing about botanics coming in, and a little bit of herbal stuff in your drink. That's
Hmm.
another trend that's coming.
Okay, so if you have to share something with the person who, like everyone will be watching, I think most of them would love to hear something interesting about any new launches which is coming up, or anything new which your company is going to be launching very soon. Anything you
Okay.
can share?
So one thing that everyone must try, I said one of my favorite drink, Lily. Do try it.
Hmm.
Try it on the rocks, and if you find it too sweet, then mix a little bit of ginger ale in it. Okay, and some mint leaves. And the other one, around the time you release this, it'll be in the markets. Exclamation! It's our latest launch for all the party goers. We've got various variants. We've got brandy, we've got rum, vodka, gin. So try it out. Ask for exclamation and have fun.
Okay, so these are recommendations from Richa. So everyone who's watching there, they have the interest. Please do try that out. Great. Now I'll move the gears little bit, Richa, and ask you if you think about and reflect. Like you have worked in mostly in MNCs, but you would be interacting with a lot of people like founders, startups, etc. So what are some of the mistakes? And I have seen like many of them do not even pay attention to finance or investment in finance, but what's your experience? The mistakes which someone does when they don't really give the finance its due importance, and any advice you want to give to them?
A lot of organizations, and I'll not generalize by saying MNC or Indian startups. Sometimes Indian startups are most advanced in their ability to manage finances and being participative with the CFOs. They themselves are very good CFOs.
Yeah.
But by and large, the mistake that happens in most organization is that finance is usually a back end. Okay, things come to the finance person when decisions are taken, and often these decisions are not really the decisions that will maximize value. By trying to wear a dual hat, and I see this often, a marketing person. Marketing also plays with gross margins, and they will have this rail guard that, okay, I have to have this gross margin on this initiative. And without
Hmm.
even enrolling finance in a larger discussion, they might make choices on the product to hit a particular number. I'm taking a very generic example, a very safe example over here to showcase, the value finance can bring. If a reasonable finance person is also part of that project or engaged in that project and brings up this issue, probably a better decision can be taken on that product. For example, the easiest one that a finance person can empower the team with, that hey, on this product, look at what you want to get. Maybe a little bit of compromise on this particular gross margin is fine because we are making so much more there. That compensatory role, right?
Yeah.
Or at times when you're talking about investment and funding and the ROI isn't coming, maybe a finance person can come up with lower cost financing options, which a business team without finance representation may not be able to. And when the business teams come and propose, a lot of times already lost, commitments are already made. So just presenting to the CFO is not good enough. Find a way to engage with the finance team a little earlier.
Yeah, and both of us are advocate of that. You and me, so everyone who is has his own company or in a cross-functional, make your finance person your friend. That's what I would like to be, and the finance person vice versa. The friendship helps, or the involvement helps. Now this everything is about, right, how tech is shaping lots of things. I'm super excited about how GenAI will evolve, like impact how we run finance. But what are your some of those thoughts? What are you excited about?
For me, it's like, a lot of groundwork or data mining and data cleaning that used to be done by finance earlier is now gradually getting automated, because earlier, no matter how many people you hire, they would get too caught up in preparing those reports day in, day out, and very little time was being spent in actually studying those reports and
Hmm.
coming out with meaningful insights and outputs. I'm hoping as we embrace technology more, people and my analyst will be more, will be able to spend more time on actual analysis, communication, and influencing to be able to drive value. Today, even though we have data, we don't get enough time to be able to use it to influence and take quick corrective action. So I'm seeing a lot of value. I'm not worried about jobs going away. I'm sure there'll be so many other jobs that will open up. That's how we've always evolved. Yes, there's going to be a little bit of shakeup. People will have to upskill, but it's good. It's progress is always good.
So you are also equally passionate about and looking forward for the change it will bring.
Yes, and it's going
So
to be gradual. It's happening gradually. It's not overnight. So we have time. We have time to reset and see what we want to do.
yeah, I think the first step starts with the, as you shared about, right, upskilling, making yourself aware of what's happening, and then you can start bringing in changes, which
Yeah.
is there a lot to be. I am very super excited about how tech is shaping and how tech will shape, and really looking forward like how you will make this difference. And very recently, you launched this pricing. Tell
Price
me more
lab.
about it. Price Lab sounds very exciting. Sounds like a tech savvy project. Tell me more.
Yeah, so yes, it is. It is not very high tech, but it's something that was much needed. Though it's the perfect platform to which AI can be integrated, making our lives even simpler. And the whole genesis of it is, like I explained, we are working across 26 countries. India is like 26 countries for me, with so many brands that we have and so many SKUs or bottle sizes that we have, and each state having a very different pricing formula on how pricing is calculated, how an approval will be given, what are the guardrails. In India, a lot of states limit the price increase based on a lot of factors, sometimes even pricing of neighboring states. And earlier, all this used to be carried in our heads. People who've been in the industry 10 years, 15 years, they would know it. Of course, even they would forget and get confused at times. How much data can you carry? These laws change every year. And that's why we felt we do need a solid computing base, which has all the algorithms. And all we are then doing is playing with those algorithms and it's giving us these analysis and reports. So that's what Price Lab does. It plays across the 26 states, our data, market rules, regulations, and gives us the opportunity. So it's a little, I would say the data is huge. The concept is simple but much needed. And tomorrow,
Yeah.
if I integrate AI, all I'll have to say is, "Hey, Price Lab, tell me where can I take a price increase to offset my costs?" And it'll be like, "Richa, go take the price increase in this state."
Yeah, I think what I also like about is the things which are simple to implement. That is where adoption becomes much more faster, and your teams then can build upon. And you also have the point which you shared about, right, being external oriented about what's happening in government, what's happening in other companies. So both of these are very very good builds. And as a finance, sometimes you only take just the matter of your pricing, right? Traditional approach would be only to look into what's your cost increase and you take up pricing. Now you're just shifting the approach entirely to see what's happening around, and cost is one factor, but not the all. And then
Yeah,
taking
and
it
in
for
our
right.
case, even a 1%, 2% price increase requires government approval. And
Hmm.
it's quite interesting that even though this price lab was in pilot state, one of our managers was in the excise commissioner's office, and he was playing around. And the excise commissioner asked him, "What are you looking at?" He said, "No, we have our internal pricing tool." So he said, "Let me have a look."
Ah,
And we were very transparent. He shared the
yeah.
database, he shared the data, and he looked around, he played around. It showed him if you take a price increase, what's going to be the government share, what's going to be the Pernod Ricard share, what's going to be the customer's share. He gave the price increase after understanding the algorithm. He said, "Yeah, it makes sense." So it
Yeah,
was
it
so
makes
much of
sense
a
to him
relief.
also. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I said it makes sense to government official also. You're bringing in transparency as well, right? Very good, Richa. And very good examples you shared about how you're making a difference and the interesting brands you have. You also got a peek into that. Now I'm just moving again into another something which you are passionate about, and I'm also because I'm a very very avid book reader, and I got to see about while preparing for this podcast, and even
That,
before that,
that's
your
very
book.
sweet. Thank you.
And this book is actually a gem. I have read through this entire book. It's very easy, so that's something I can say. That this is something which I like. That within 2 days, I was able to read this book entirely, And the
That was the
number of
intent. Keep it light. Yeah.
and what I also like about the this particular book is the number of stories which you have brought in, which is keep all of these principles of actually going beyond numbers very easy. So first, I'm very curious. Huh? You have written this book, and you have also written the second book. I have to still go through that, Powering Success, the second book. But tell me about what really inspired you to write not even one but two very powerful books.
Okay, the one on Beyond Numbers, yes, I wanted to write more from my experience and learnings, and this is the book that I started writing. But as I was penning down my thoughts, writing about Beyond Numbers, what really kept coming back to my mind was the number of people who had actually impacted or shaped my career. And that's when I put this aside and I said, no, I have to write about my mentors first and my story. And that's where I wrote about Powering Success. And I do recommend everyone to read it. People, anyone who's been told that you need a mentor. First of all, if you've been told you need a mentor, it's because somebody believes in your potential. So mentor is a good word. And definitely being a woman, often we don't have people who are really invested in our success. So find a mentor who can be unbiased and objective for you. So those were my thoughts when I said I have to write this down. And also, Nidhi, very early in my career, when people would talk about mentoring, I used to be lost. I didn't really know what to ask a mentor, what will I gain from a mentor. And those are the things I've tried to address in this book, that how does mentoring work? What do you go with to a mentor? And then I've shared my stories of what were my challenges and how is it that a mentor helped me overcome a key part or whatever what the key factor that drives success in mentorship is your own hunger. If you want to be on an improvement path, then you think about your limitations, you think about your challenges, you go to a mentor, you have a discussion, you come back, reflect, and you implement what you've decided to see a better version of you. These are the things I've tried to capture again in a very, very simple way. I think the book can be read in 60 minutes. It's very light, very thin, and it gives you insights into how everyone has limitations and how how people who are successful try to improve them over time.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing your perspective. Even I do believe, मतलब मेरी life में भी ना, in fact the whole thing. Now you are on my this particular platform, Pursuit of Finance and Leadership. उसका भी objective यही था, to bring in mentors like you to share with everyone. Because मेरी life में भी बहुत सारे mentors ने रिचा. From a government school when I passed out, even I couldn't even speak English, and then getting into Sri Ram College of Commerce and Hindustan Unilever, where mentors shaped me and made me where I am. That's huge contribution by them. And I can imagine, and as you are sharing that ki your life is also super impacted by them, like all your mentors in positive way. So tell me one mentorship experience of yours which is very very close to your heart.
I have written most of them, Nidhi, in the book, but I will try to talk to you about something that has impacted me over the last 1 year.
Okay.
It was more around time management, and I've really, really transformed. Um, so I used to be a very, very busy person. I still am, but more planned now.
With so much
More
you're doing, you
planned.
will be busy only, Richa.
No, but earlier my calendar would be chock a block for several weeks. I've been able to free up my calendar. Okay. And this has basically come via a series of 2 to 3 reflections done with my mentor on why is my calendar busy. And then actively working on changing those behaviors, changing those constraints to open it up. And it's not easy. Whenever you have to move to this kind of a transformation where, while taking care of all your important meetings and commitments, you're actually making yourself free from a time perspective, it means you're changing your mindset, you're letting go. You're deciding not to get into the detail of everything, right? You're empowering your team more. Secondly, you're then also sending a signal to your teams that you're not going to be available for them for every small thing. They need to start deciding, and they need to come back better prepared. And it may not be easy. Some people will like it in your team, some people will not like it. Thirdly, sometimes you're also distancing yourself from regular meetings. You're saying, no, this meeting is not important for me. To be able to do it and still land well with the organization and with your team around requires fair amount of thinking, planning. And I do feel I've been able to do. I
Yeah,
feel
that's very
we're all in a much happier place because of this. My teams, they've evolved, they are developing, and they still get my time when they really need to. But now they're coming better prepared to me, and I am more organized myself. I have time to do so much more. I'm not doing less. So there's no sense of, oh, I've let go. There's so much more I'm being able to do.
And actually, what you shared about time is, no, the time is the most important currency we have, but it is still, most of us are busy, right? In finance specifically, we'll ask, and which you are sharing your own story, right, 1 year back. But most of the people would be having time as really, really very crunchy. So letting go, what you said, US, it sounds so simple, but it is not easy, Richa. I can completely understand it needs not only, as you shared, the planning, but also the courage. So, what
Hmm.
were some of the roadblocks you actually faced, and how did you practically then got the time release in your calendar?
So, see, the first and most important is your acceptance that by being so busy, I'm actually limiting myself and my ability to do a lot more because I'm micromanaging, right? Even if you're not micromanaging, you're taking frequent updates, you're giving inputs, right? It really somewhere ends up being a micromanager.
Yeah.
And the fear that, okay, if I don't have these meetings, I will not be updated. Okay, so over there, it is about setting up a schedule with your teams that these are the meetings I will have maybe once a week, once a month, no more. And then making
Hmm.
sure the team also comes prepared to update you fully. It requires building that trust and that accountability with your team. So it's a journey, requires a lot of open communication and coaching on what is needed when you come for these meetings.
Hmm.
And then the last one I'll say is you being fully engaged in that particular meeting to make the most out of it. A person who's back to back into meetings, somewhere the engagement does take a beating. Today, when I'm having lesser meetings in a day, the person who comes and talks to me gets 100% of me.
Hmm.
So this requires a few months of practice. It's possible. I've done it.
Thank you for sharing an importance of mentorship. सबके लिए बहुत important है. So my next book मैं I will read about the books Powering Success and I will tell you my feedback on that. But
Thank you.
definitely I recommend your Beyond Numbers books to everyone because it opens up their minds about how a role of a professional can evolve just beyond looking into their core numbers and spreadsheets, getting much more deeper and much more becoming influentials.
And what can really go wrong if they only keep looking at numbers? That's the big issue too.
Yeah, and coming on to that, tell me one of your interesting story from the book where if whatever behavior is not changed and the impact, right? You have spoken about an FP&A story or multiple ones, but which is your favorite one?
It is a FP&A one because usually I will not say now, but yes, in some of the places I worked, the absolute financial wizard, a person who was just too good with Excels and tables and simulations was put into the FP&A role. Okay, not much was thought about his or her interpersonal skills or ability to understand business beyond those Excel sheets, and that's an
Hmm.
absolute disaster. I mean, even in very large companies, this can happen that FP&A becomes so obsessed with their own models and simulations and risk analysis based on those Excel sheets. Beach mein, there were a few years of where they would do this trend analysis, regression, and demand planning would also had become very internally focused based on prior data sets. So that was a recipe for disaster where current external input doesn't happen or is not incorporated, and you end up giving a forecast only to realize no one bought your forecast. And you were
Hmm.
so close to the CFO and MD that nobody spoke either. Till hell broke loose, and then people say that, okay, ये तो आपकी एक्सेल मॉडलिंग थी, हमने तो ये कहा ही नहीं था.
हाँ, इनफैक्ट आपने वही लिखा है ना स्टोरी में कि बिजनेस जो है वो तो अलाइन ही नहीं था नंबर्स पे, assumptions पे एंड फाइनल एक्चुअल में पेपर पे तो बहुत अच्छे नंबर लगे, ग्रोथ वर वेरी हाई 15% एंड सो, बट इन रियलिटी ग्रोथ तो आई नहीं, इन्वेस्टमेंट्स डिले हुआ. सो वो तो स्टोरी में एक्चुअली.
अनफॉर्चुनेटली अभी भी कभी कभी होता है, सीनियर लीडर्स एफपीएनए से बोल देंगे इतनी दिखा दो. एफपीएनए भी खुश होके कि भाई आई एम द ब्लू आइड बॉय ऑफ सो एंड सो, मैंने दिखा दिया यार, बट डिलीवर भी तो करना है.
इनफैक्ट डिलीवर करना है, जो पॉइंट आपने ये बोला किसी इवन दोनों साइड राइट, पॉजिटिव होगा
Mhm.
या नेगेटिव सेंसिटिविटी, उसका क्या
Mhm.
रिस्क है, एक्शन क्या लेना है, रोजी
Mhm.
पिक्चर भी प्रॉब्लम है.
And sensitivity should be based on ground level inputs versus just regression correlation.
हम्म. या सो दिस स्टोरी इनफैक्ट मुझे भी ये बहुत अच्छी स्टोरी लगी बुक से, एंड माय लर्निंग वाज आल्सो द सेम पॉइंट व्हिच यू शेयर्ड इज कि whatever numbers you make, first make sure कि it's also based upon, test those assumptions, right, align with your stakeholders, take inputs. So that is one of the learnings which everyone who is doing some planning or some number crunching take into factor. But just to round off this learnings from the book, tell one or two practical tips which someone can start immediately doing.
Okay, first of all, now this is for everyone, not just for finance people. And I'm
Yeah,
talking from beyond first, right?
yes.
Finance is very, very simple, Nidhi. You and I know it. But somehow people are scared. People think it's very complex. To run a finance team, finance organization, or finance for an organization, you just need to focus on a few things. One is your gross margin. If your gross margins are looking healthy and continuing to move in the right direction, all is good. Because all the sub factors get caught in gross margin if wrong decisions are being taken. For example, bad debts, for example, extra discounts, or wrong product mix. So keep it simple at the high level, gross margin. Second is cash flow. Again, any wrong decisions start impacting your cash flow first. Excessive investments, high AR, a slow product churn rate. So if these two key variables on your P&L and balance sheet are looking good, all is good. And then two other things that every business person or CFO should do: continuously invest for the future to make your business sustainable. That's the third thing I look at. And fourth are the compliances. Be a good corporate citizen. So as a CFO, my life is simple and it revolves around these four things. Nothing more.
Yeah, actually, you have nicely shared these four things. If people do remember, they will run a very, very good and strong organization. And it's about, I think, it's about sustainability. And this thing will really help. These four tips from you will help. So gross margin, cash, really have strong governances and invest for future. So that's my takeaway. And thank you so much, Richa, for sharing on that part. Now, both of us have had our own share of challenges as a woman professional and finance, non-finance. But if you reflect upon, what would be one tip which you would want to leave with every woman professional who wants to grow, but something which is it's stopping them? Any advices for them?
What does, first of all, I would say lean in. Really, I believe in that book, Lean In, a lot, which basically means be an equal on the table. Take your space. Don't shy away. Yes, when you are entering a new team, try to blend in. Don't make loud statements that attract the wrong attention or attract enemies versus supporters. Build your allies and then quickly get into the game as an equal. Harshly put, if you're playing with the wolves, you've got to be a wolf, right?
Hmm.
You can be a little pup for a small time that's getting nurtured, but then you don't want to be there. You want your promotions, you want to lead, and you've got to be a, and
Hmm.
ask for opportunities when they are given. Give your 100% to it. Don't try to pull the woman card to get to get a discount on your delivery. If you need a break from your career, take it, come back fully charged, and play.
Thank you so much, Richa, for sharing on this point. And I would even recommend one more book. I'm part of actually Lean In Foundation in Mumbai, and that is a network where we support each other and just to help them grow. The other part is about one of the book is How Women Rise. That's another one very, very interesting book which I've observed, which can help other all the women professionals to grow in their career.
Sure, I'll pick that up one. Sure.
And so we are going to the fun questions for you, Richa. Are you ready?
Yes.
And whatever comes to your mind first, you have to answer. Okay.
Okay.
So first, very simple: tea or coffee?
Chai. Meri wali chai with adrak and less milk and no sugar.
Yeah, so adrak chai. So we will have a tea together. Numbers or people?
People, because it's people who make the numbers happen. Numbers alone mean nothing.
Okay, Bollywood or Hollywood?
Bollywood, along with all the songs and dancing around the trees.
Okay, so your favorite hero?
Shah Rukh Khan?
I do have so many things in common. I Shah Rukh Khan, I also really enjoyed his romantic movies. Okay, so Richa, tell me about something about your personality which your team doesn't know.
Okay. My team thinks that I'm a fitness freak and I do not eat much,
Okay.
but I can really, really eat, and there are times when I really go on binges. I can have endless pieces of bread malai and endless golgappas. That's one.
Uh,
The other thing that people feel is that I'm a very prim and proper person. I'm a very, very goofy person. I can laugh endlessly. Um, I do like to play practical jokes.
okay, tell me about a book which you would recommend to everyone to read.
Powerful engagement. And it's not only for people in the corporate, it's anyone doing their own business, living their lives. It talks about fitness. It talks about you treating your mind and body just the way athletes treat their body. Because to be best at work and with your family, you need to keep your mind and body healthy. Uh,
Okay.
it's a beautiful book.
Yeah. Any tips which you want to give, like maybe just one tip from your side, how someone can really upskill themselves in 2025?
Yeah, so there are a couple of things, Nidhi. One, definitely for a lot of us in India, our core education doesn't have so much of analysis, financial analysis, cash flow projections, NPVs, IRRs, or simple even comparisons, how to analyze whether a promotion will pay out or not. And I see a lot of people struggle. So there are a lot of institutes, Coursera courses, there is a CFI which runs these courses. I would say no matter where you are in your career, now's the time to take it if you're in finance. And the second one is simply practice effective communication, where you're able to convey your idea in a minute or two, because that's really important. That's a needed skill in finance increasingly. If
Yeah.
AI is coming in, what you will be doing is you'll be trying to influence people with the insights. For that, you need both of this.
Yeah, so communication and having very, very strong, you can say, analytical skills combined with your business thinking. That's the
Yeah.
two from you. Okay. And any last advice, or I would say, any last words from you on this podcast?
I'll go back to the book I talked about, be in the moment, be fully engaged. If you're at home, have fun with your kids, with your spouse, with your family. At work, try to give your best to the project, to the task that's been given to you. At the end of it, life is to really live it to the fullest, enjoy and not stress and bloat. So give your best and enjoy, in short.
Live life to the fullest. हाँ? जिंदगी ना मिलेगी दोबारा.
Perfect, Nidhi. That's about it.
Yes. And Richa, I've learned so much from you in our interactions, and I'm sure everyone will be watching this, listening to this. They will have very, very interesting takeaways. Numbers matters, but they're just the beginning. The real story lies in linkages and the people behind them. Today, Richa Singh's story tells us how a leader can lead with both head and heart. That's a wrap on today's episode at Pursuit of Finance and Leadership. Big thanks to Richa for sharing her inspiring journey, and thanks to you for listening it. If you found this inspiring, make sure to subscribe on our YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram at CA Nidhi Jain. See you in the next one.